Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the relatively uncommon fighting-type Pokemon Mankey and its uncommon evolution Primeape, collectively known as the Pig Monkey Pokémon. Mankey and Primeape, as the species title suggests, are biologically defined as primates, monkeys specifically, but are different from most in that their noses are more like squashed snouts in form, granting them an appearance that is notably pig-like. This does not affect their respiratory system, however, so it is a cosmetic difference at most for them. Mankey possess light brown fur that covers the majority of their bodies, with darker fur being found at the ends of their limbs, tail, and the inside of their pointed ears. They possess glaring red eyes that can pierce the defenses of even strong opponents and in turn make for a great leer technique, and they possess 3 fingers and 3 toes on their hands and feet. Their bodies are quite supple and can deliver powerful strikes despite them not being very large, and these beasts get access to an assortment of normal, dark, and fighting-type attacks throughout their life, even getting access to powerful attacks like Cross-Chop and Close Combat fairly early compared to other fighting-type Pokemon. Their evolved form, Primeape, share many of their basic anatomical features. Though the dark hair in their bodies cover the entirety of their limbs and appendages, they have lost their tail altogether due to their preference for living life on the ground and not in the trees where Mankey live. They have a near-permanent strain mark on their heads from pent-up rage, and their digits have devolved, with big toes and thumbs preserved while the rest of their digits have fused together. This does not seem to decrease their overall dexterity much though, and seems to be the result of them developing limbs more suited for powerful punching and kicking attacks. In addition, they possess a quartet of black, ring-like organic inhibitors on their bodies that are designed to not only act as weights to help them strengthen their muscles, but also to hold their full power back, if only for their own safety when they become enraged and lose control of themselves. To put it mildly, both Mankey and Primeape have severe anger problems that are both incredibly dangerous to work with and serve as the primary fuel behind their offenses in battle. Due to a genetic mutation in their lineage, these creatures possess an oversized adrenal gland that is very sensitive to stimulation from the central nervous system and tends to pump out dangerous levels of adrenaline whenever something happens that even mildly irritates them, sending them into a wild frenzy that serves as the primary characteristic of their family. It is unknown when this genetic mutation occurred, but because the consequences of this mutation have actually benefited these creatures as a whole, by granting them increased power and the capacity to make potential predators afraid to even go near them lest they anger them, it has remained in the gene pool, and has effectively become a universal trait for them. While this normally would be a huge problem for them from a general health perspective, as such immense amounts of imposed stress on their bodies could cause circulatory issues among other things, these primates have adapted to work with this rage, and by letting it out frequently instead of holding it in, they can actually remain fairly healthy and live long lives. Moreover, their blood vessels are thicker than normal, especially those near the brain, so they can handle the higher blood pressure that often comes with their outbursts without readily bursting from overuse. While this rage can be manageable to some degree with Mankey, whose curiosity and subsequent access to the covet attack can make them useful for novice trainers, Primeape are nearly uncontrollable in their outbursts and don't like to play with others, gaining access to the fling attack in place of covet due to their increased anger issues, and gaining immediate access to the rage attack as soon as they evolve, which can make them incredibly dangerous to have to face if they get the chance to power up their attack stat by using it repeatedly. Their anger issues as a whole can make these creatures a handful to work with, but since it grants them access to moves like Stomping Tantrum and Outrage later in life, it can be useful for the sake of versatility. As far as their abilities go, to little surprise, their anger issues and frequent sleepless rage fits allow them to possess the Vital Spirit and Anger Point abilities as base abilities and, if they are particularly rowdy and difficult to control, the Defiant ability as a hidden ability. In terms of stats, while they are decently strong in their own right, these beasts are sadly not the most powerful of fighting-type Pokemon, and Primeape in particular fall a bit behind, as almost every base stat they have is below average for fully evolved fighting-type Pokemon. The only exception is their base speed stat, which is above average, testifying to their noteworthy agility. Even so, their early access to powerful moves can make them worth relying on if one knows how to push their buttons correctly, though the penalty for doing so incorrectly can be quite painful and brutal in the worst of cases. Mankey tend to live in large colonies amongst trees and forests, and hunting down any single one can be tricky, as they are rarely ever found out on their own. Because of their anger issues, this can make fighting and capturing even a single Mankey a bit of an issue, as not only can they shift from being placid to thrashing about out of rage at a moment's notice, but worse yet, Their rage tends to be contagious as a community. If even a single Mankey starts to rage, the entire colony will become infuriated and will attack whatever started the sea of spreading frustration and anger. This does not always work out for everyone though, as these beasts can become forgetful when in a frenzied state, and will slug anything that gets near them out of anger, even if it's another Mankey or an ally in battle. Add in their light and agile body forms, and it can easily be seen why confronting these beasts on their home turf can be an unwise and costly mistake. This is not made much easier in the opposite case either, as if a Mankey finds itself isolated and alone, either because it got separated from its colony, or because an anger fit drove everything in the area away, the loneliness will cause it to become angry as well. Moreover, even when they fall asleep from their tiring tantrums, their anger will continue to build in their dreams to the point where it wakes them up, infuriating them even further. The only real way to tell if one is in immediate danger is to observe their body language, as their nasal breathing will turn rough and their bodies will start to shake when they're starting to become angry. Though, due to how quickly their rage can build up, this still gives little to no time to actually escape from their fury, and thus makes it unwise to approach them if one cannot knock them out instantly with a strong attack. The only thing that can readily pacify one of these beasts is food, with nuts and fruits being the primary staple of their diet. They are particularly fond of chestnuts, but because they do not have a way to easily crack open the shells with something like a rock without potentially destroying the tasty cargo inside, they often have to manually peel the prickly nuts, causing them great pain and, once again, serving to anger them. As such, peeled chestnuts are probably the only thing that can easily suppress their fury and make them easier to command and work with as partners. Sadly, while it may technically be possible to pacify Mankey, in the case of their evolved form, Primeape, this task is significantly harder, if not near impossible, due to an enlargement of their already oversized adrenal gland. Their anger issues are so bad, in fact, that they have to live as solitary creatures, as the presence of other life forms around them can set them off. In fact, almost anything can infuriate these creatures, and once they are angered, there is no going back. Primeape will tenaciously hunt and beat down whoever or whatever angered them with extreme ferocity, and without ever lapsing in their pursuit until they can deliver justice for disturbing them, delivering devastating punches and kicks that can easily break bones and deal severe internal damage if a living target is unprotected. Not only can this make training and battling with them frustrating because it is exceptionally difficult to tell what exactly set them off, but even mere eye contact can be enough to anger them, even if they only so much as sense that they are being looked at. So much so, that it is probably the worst thing one can do when interacting with one of these primates. Trying to run away will also just make the situation worse, and successfully defeating them, well, that will also just make them angrier. The reaction to being disturbed in any tiny way can be so severe that anyone who approaches and accidentally wakes up a sleeping Primeape will see the beast instantly get up and chase them, even if they are extremely groggy and half asleep while doing so. Not even containment in a capture device will abate their anger, and any act taken against them while angry will never be forgotten nor forgiven. It seems that the only thing that can actually keep them placid is either the complete absence of any other life form in their vicinity, which is very rare to observe, or death from getting too angry for even their otherwise highly tolerant bodies to handle, an outcome that is sadly somewhat common with Primeape, which may also be the only time they actually look peaceful. Thankfully for trainers, this seemingly endless sea of rage can be beneficial in battle, as the angrier their Primeape get, the more blood that gets pumped into their muscles, and in turn the stronger they become. The only problem with this is that it also constricts the blood vessels that go to the brain and deprives them of oxygen, weakening their mental functions and effectively making them less intelligent until they can snap out of their range, turning them into mindless berserkers that can definitely hit hard but can be almost impossible to control, which is something that trainers will need to be aware of when training one of these primates. While they might be among the most difficult of Pokemon to actually control in any combat situation, Mankey and Primeape are tenacious beasts that can hit hard and keep hitting harder the more they become infuriated. Keeping them placid might be a difficult enough task that it seems almost pointless, but these beasts can do amazing things with their rage when handled correctly, and in turn can more than prove to be a severe threat against those that are unable to withstand their fury for long. If you want to seriously consider training these beasts for a team, make sure to stock up on their favorite food and get to know their likes and dislikes very quickly. Otherwise, directing their fury may be the last thing you need to worry about, as so much as looking at them the wrong way can be enough to render you victim to a terrible beatdown that may force you to reconsider your understanding of their temperament. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yeah, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.